Brought to you by Romo Athletics and powered by the Raw Athletic Booster Club. I'm your host, Tom Brown. Today, we have a game day celebration where we are celebrating the season opener, the Rolla Bulldogs. We're watching them kind of pop out right now. We'll just kind of show you some of that action coming in. But today, with us, we have a round table. We got JP Maxwell. He's the host of the season ticket. We also have Tanner Dinsdale on the end. He is the voice of the Rolla Bulldogs, does the broadcast on 104.9 ESPN. And with us today, we got Bulldog alum, All-State, set a bunch of records for the Rolla Bulldogs, went to college, played at Truman State, and now he's on the Rolla Bulldog coach staff, Andy Satula. Hey, thanks for being here.
I appreciate it. I love being here.
All right, so Andy, let's start with you because the game's going on. You got some work to do.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your time here at Rolla High School as a running back.
As a high school player, I mean, it was great. I got to play with your son, obviously. You know, me and Zach had some good times out there on the field. That senior year was obviously pretty special on offense, which we could have done a little bit better on defense. Got a little bit more wins, but I mean, overall, man, you know, you play with the same guys all the way through middle school, all the way up through high school. I mean, I'm lifelong friends with all those guys. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
That's awesome. So you still own some of the records, don't you?
I would say most of them still. I think all of them are intact.
I would say it is.
I think Zach might have tied one of them, but I think he might have tied, or maybe he broke like all the yards in the game one. I think maybe.
Yeah, that was the only one I think
I
he
think
had.
most of them are still intact. Hey, I would love for it to change. I would love to coach that guy who broke my records. Absolutely.
Well, I tell you, it's been a lot of fun. Then you went on to Truman State, had great success there. And then what's it like being back here coaching on the staff?
Yeah. Truman was great. Trying to get Houston to go there. We'll put that plug in there. But then coming back, it was a lot different. I didn't play football or coach for the first couple of years out of college. And kind of, I didn't have anything to fill it, right? Like that spark, that like light on Friday night lights or Saturday night when those lights come on and you're ready to go hit somebody. And then coming back, it was like, I didn't think it was going to recapture it. And then Friday night, lights come on. It's almost the same feeling. It's pretty close. So I've enjoyed it. Love giving my experience to these guys, helping them out in any way possible. They make me better as a coach. I get to learn more football, more strategy, everything behind the scenes kind of thing. See how Heflin calls plays. A lot of stuff that goes into it that you don't really see as a player. So it's been nice being on that side of the house too.
Tanner is a former player here for the Bulldogs. Again, left your marks all over the school and the program. What's your thoughts about Andy Satula being on the coaching staff? What questions do you have for him?
I think it's great. Anytime you get alumni involved. I mean, I don't even have any kids, that are in high school, middle school, but moved back to Rolla in 2021 during COVID and got presented with this opportunity and kind of the same way, right? I hadn't been in Rolla High athletics in quite a few years, but even just coming back for the first time, thought it was going to be a temporary gig. And, now here I am, a senior. This is my fourth year. So it's kind of funny seeing a lot of those seniors now that are who got to play as freshmen. There's quite a few of them out there. So it's great. Anytime you can get alumni involved, it's great to see, and especially with somebody like Andy, who's got, like you mentioned earlier, the records, the pedigree, et cetera. That a lot of high school players want to be good, but having someone in their ear telling them how to be good is a big difference.
And I know firsthand the boys have been watching game film. So Ethan comes back and we'll talk about that and with the game film and how it's going. And watching some of Andy's games in the past, so they'll talk about that a little bit too.
They make fun of me about the hip pads.
Yeah,
they've been pointing those out a lot. Yeah.
So JP, any thoughts, any questions for Andy before he heads off to the field?
No, just real quick. Like, what have you seen from the players so far with practice? I mean, tonight's the first game, and so they're gonna go for the challenge. They ready? Because Festus, this is kind of a rematch from last year's opening week.
Oh yeah. I'll say one, our heads have been a lot better than they were last year. I think we're a lot more disciplined in our practice habits. We pay attention to detail a little bit more effort, more conditioning. I think we've got a lot of that stuff better. But I mean, you hit the nail on the head, dude. We got Festus revenge match from last year. A little salt in our mouth from the way that ended. Not gonna say anything there that we might have came back and won, but I know these guys definitely have a chip on their shoulder. lean on those seniors. I think you mentioned it. We got a lot of seniors. I think you were talking about us, right?
Yeah,
With
yeah.
those freshmen, CP, Jack, all those guys that are supposed to be leaders now. They were leaders last year. Now they get to take that next step as a senior being a leader. first game for them, you know?
I'm not a coach. As a former football player, I'll just say I would want the opportunity to get another shot at these guys after the way the game was ended last year and not a chance to remake it up. So what do you think?
And not to mention, hey, they were class 4 runner-up state champs. I mean, hey, what better way to start the season? You know, hey, get a
Exactly.
real good test right away. We'll know exactly what we need to fix and where we really level out at. So, yeah.
Good measuring stick.
All right. Well, Coach, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make sure you head out there and get that team fired up, ready to go.
Let's go.
Go get 'em.
Yeah, let's go, Eddie.
All right, Andy.
Thanks again, Tom.
Man. Great kid. Man, again, watching him play in junior high in the Raleigh youth football program, it was so dynamic and wasn't a starter on that team back then because he was just kind of coming into his own. And holy cow, when you watch that, we moved to that spread offense with him in that backfield. And Zach loved it because that would help him get some records. The officials are coming out on the field right now. So and then we've got some good guys out there. I know Rod's supposed to be out here too, I believe.
And again, this is when you know it's live. When you have the football players walk past you and now the officials, I mean,
Well, that door opened up and it smelled like a locker room.
yeah, that, no doubt. No doubt.
How can the pads smell like that this early in the
It
season?
smelled like a locker room for sure.
Have a little, a little post-traumatic stress from those days. But yeah, so it's great to see Andy up here, and I really appreciate him. So Taylor, you said 4 years you've been calling games for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, year 4. Yeah, we were kind of joking around. Joe Steelman's going to be joining me again this year, and it's awesome. You know, Joe's the same way, right? He's got no kids. We don't even have any kids in middle school. But being able to come back and just be involved slightly, even if it's on the back end, it's exciting to do. And a big thing that intrigued me was this. When I moved back, you know, one of my good friends, Jared Jordan, was you got to check out this 8th grade class. You got to check out this 9th grade class. And they're every bit as good as just like what as advertised, per se. So it's going to be interesting to see here, especially with all those guys now being seniors.
Yeah, it's been a great class coming up through there. Like I said, Easton Smith started a game as a freshman at quarterback.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Well, and you had Hayden Emery, right? It started
CP.
numerous games. CP, and you got Jack Morozowitz, and there's many more, and not to mention, you know, the juniors last year, or I should say the seniors last year, and the years before that. But they've been fun to watch. It's cool to see that, you know, this is Coach Heflin's 3rd year coming back, his alma mater. So I'm expecting, you know, bigger things here this year than in the last 3 years, right? And that's just with a lot of the talent that you have, but then on top of the experience. I mean, couldn't tell you how much experience or I should say the confidence that it gives somebody. If you even get to play a half, you know, if you're either down or up and you get to play half of a game on a Friday night and you're able to calm those nerves, let alone get to play 3 years like some of these guys have. I mean, if you look at Easton, if you look at Easton Smith on the street, you'd think he's the father of most of these children.
And he's the youngest of the group.
I know.
Yeah, he just turned 17 this summer.
I mean, it's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing.
Yeah, 30 pounds he put on.
Hey, incredible.
Yeah, 245
Absolutely
pound
incredible.
quarterback.
Might be one of the only quarterbacks in Missouri that starts at quarterback and starts on defense also.
Well, not only that, but is he maybe the biggest quarterback in our area? I mean, he's got to be close.
He's large.
Yeah, that kind of weight with his mobility.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not for us. We're not in trouble, right?
I was going to say, yeah, that's again probably more flashbacks as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That bell.
So, JP, host the season ticket.
Yep.
How many years have you been doing the season ticket?
So over 3 years, actually approaching 3.5 years, coming up on 170 episodes that we've done on a weekly basis. Every Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Tom, you've been a major part of it for the last couple of years. And it's kind of what we like doing. Like, this is kind of a joint partnership between the season ticket and Inside the Huddle and Romo. And that's really why the season ticket was born. Yeah, we covered like Cardinals and Chiefs, but the main thing was Raleigh Bulldogs, Missouri S&T, St. James, like cover the local sports, because let's face it, that's really what everybody's passionate about. We're passionate about the Cardinals and the Chiefs, but when you can come and do something like this and help get exposure for these young athletes, I mean, that's what we're all about.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And it's been great. Appreciate what you do and the outreach you have for the kids to be able to come on and coaches on there and talk about sports, and anything we can do to help promote the sports in this area is a great thing.
Absolutely.
So let's look at, so last year the Bulldogs were 6-4. Tanner, you kind of touched on that a little bit. You know, left a lot of things kind of out there. Some of those games are some games we wish we could have had back. Lost some key players. You lose your leading rusher. You lose your leading tackler, your third leading tackler. So Mason DeLaGarza was a leading rusher last year. Trent Richards, leading tackler. Caden Reedy, third leading tackler. But you're bringing back a ton of weapons. You're starting quarterback. You got a starting slot back in Jack Morozowitz, CP, arguably the most electric kid in the state, scoring touchdowns all over the place. We got defensive backs Hayden Emery, who's been, you know, again, putting up yards since his freshman year at fullback. You know, what's your thought this year? Like you've already talked about Tanner, the seniors. What do you see unfolding here with?
I feel good about it. I talked to a handful of the coaches right throughout the week. You know, Connor Barnes is on staff. He and I played football together when we were in high school. Constantly still in contact with our old high school coach, Brock Roden. We're in a group text together, so we're always texting back and forth, but always trying to find a way to, you know, throw in a little something to help them get better. But always expecting big things, right? You've got with the senior leadership, you're always going to lose players, right? Every year, and that's just the nature of the beast. And yes, we lost some phenomenal players, and you know, Trustin Richards also I think started for 4 straight years, and losing him, leading tackler, he led almost every stat we had on the defensive side, outside of interceptions or pass breakups, but and then losing those other seniors obviously it is integral, but that I think that's where the coaching comes from. And you know, like I said, you've got Heflin, third year in. He's more comfortable with these guys who are now juniors, seniors, etc. That they've been around Heflin for 3 years. He's and I think more than anything, you've got your senior leadership, right? And I remember being a sophomore. I had the opportunity to start as a sophomore midway through the season, and I mean, scared to death. I mean, scared to death. Going, I weighed maybe $160 if I was lucky, and and I leaned on those seniors hard, and you know, I had Lloyd Braidlow, Chad Garner, a lot of those guys, Brett Day, and looking up to those guys, you know, as a sophomore. Yeah, you practice together every day, you play together every day. But then when you're in the heart of it, you're leaning on those seniors, and I feel really good about the group that we have, especially at the senior leadership. So I think they're going to help those guys fill those voids, and I'm expecting big things based on our schedule and the way we've got things set up this year.
So JP, let's talk about, like you talk about the senior leadership, the importance. Think back to when you played and how that means. So we got a bunch of kids that are coming back.
Yeah.
They're established. They're there. We got some young guns, especially on the line. We got a young line with having replaced a lot of the guys from last year. So you got some sophomores going to get a lot of playing time on the offensive line, defensive line, some defensive backfields. How do you see that unfolding for not just the upperclassmen as being leaders, but those younger guys coming up?
I think that's where it's going to be on those underclassmen to really take on that experience, because those seniors have that leadership that they can pass along to if you're willing to take that in. I think this group is one of those groups that will do that. And as Tanner said, you lean on that senior leadership, and maybe you have a play go wrong and the senior says, hey, this is why that happened. Maybe a coach comes up and says, hey, this is why that play broke down on you. You take that. Okay, that play didn't work out. Go to the next one, make that adjustment, and then see what happens. And as you start doing that, you just each play 1% better, 1% better. Before you know it, that's how you have vast improvement over the course of a season. For whether it's a line or whatever position you play, that's how you progress along the season.
And I think, you know, after looking at the Jamboree, even though it was kind of vanilla, I personally, a lot of talk was going on. I saw everything I wanted to see from the players I needed to see something from.
Yeah.
That was kind of my view of it. So the knowns were known, and they played the way I thought they would play. We missed a few tackles here and there, but a lot of that stuff just kind of come. And so there was nothing that I was like really disappointed in. We know we're building the line up and trying to get them all situated and growing and young guys coming in. It's going to take time, but I saw us, we grinded the ball sometimes. We did some change directions. We did some pass plays. The passes look good. They're crisp. They're right there. I mean, that's why I thought, Tanner, you called the game at the Jamboree. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I remember last year's Jamboree, and it was not as clean. There were a lot of balls on the turf. There was a lot of miscommunication. Um, and I wouldn't say, necessarily a lot, but comparatively speaking to last week there were no balls on the turf. There were no fumbles. There were no, handoffs from center to quarterback. All that was clean. And to your point, yeah, we saw what you needed to see. Yeah, they could clean up a few things on the ends when they're rolling out. Sure, one extra guy picks up a block, but that's easy to fix. But the whole timing, the cadence, etc. That's the hardest thing to do, especially on the fly. And everything looked good. I mean, realistically, if you were keeping score, I think we tied with Hickman. They scored once, we scored once. Other than that, we outscored every opponent that we played against.
And we
And
never got stopped on offense either.
correct,
Where I think we had an interception again, I think against Hickman, or a turnover on downs.
right.
We never got stopped on a drive. We grinded some of that.
100%. And that's kind of been the Bulldog way, right? It is that at the end of the day, they line up under center with a wingback formation. And I would love to see them do something a little different. And I don't know. I've been told that they weren't going to bring any tricks out during the Jamboree. So maybe that was all strategy, because I will say last year going into Festus, right? Team that we'd never played against. Raleigh had never played against them. We had no idea. I did as much research as I could, but they were ready for Raleigh last year. And their coaching staff, their head coach played at Mizzou. He had gone to Francis Howell, I think, or Rockridge.
Yeah.
He'd gone to Rockridge and won a state championship, then took on Festus. And you could just tell that they were keyed on our best players, and they knew who our best players were. And so I think it's going to be interesting this year if we do have, different formations, different offense. I think that was very smart to not necessarily publicize that during the Jamboree, because I think Festus has such a good coaching staff that they would have keyed on that and been ready for it. So it's up in the air tonight.
Yeah, you look at their quarterback they had last year, and he was the one that really I felt hurt us. He made big plays on third and longs, fourth downs, converted things. A dual threat quarterback that he was one of the best quarterbacks I saw with the patience of riding the running back, holding on to it, and then either pulling it or making a pass on it. He went to the last possible instant at every time and just made us commit, and then he responded. And he was just an athlete, but he graduated.
Yep.
They got their two running backs back. Their three-time All-State linebackers gone, playing baseball at Mizzou now. So they got a different look. Their quarterback's not going to be as mobile as the one they had, and I like our changes. And if we take advantage of, the Jack Mrozowitzes getting CP the ball in space, you got Terrell coming in there, Hayden Emery pounding it the middle, Easton Smith pounding it, get some passes out there to any of those receivers, Cam Brown on the little tight end release when you're running that. I mean, we have an opportunity to score quickly and also grind it out. And I think it would be a nice combination if we get a little more of those quick hitters.
I couldn't agree more. And, I watched all the film that I could on Festus from the Jamboree that they played against. And yeah, while they lost their dual threat quarterback, they've still got a really good quarterback in there, but he's a junior. Doesn't run the ball like the quarterback from last year, but he can definitely throw the ball. So I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, nothing different in regards to their offense schematics. I think as long as the Bulldogs stay disciplined on the defensive end, we're going to be in good shape.
So JP, looking at, again, 6-4 last year.
Yeah.
We got, again, no conference, so we're pulling out games. Looking at our schedule, anything on there that stands out. We lost the Springfield Central game, which was our homecoming game. We got replaced by Lighthouse Christian. Any thoughts as you look at that?
Well, I mean, to me, this is very favorable for all for a couple of reasons. One, this time now with Festus, this kind of repeat game from last year, they're now coming to our house instead of having to go there on week one. I think that's huge because if you look at this, especially for, let's say we have a junior or sophomore getting a crack at this for Rolla, they come out with this kind of crowd already out here like this kind of energy, an hour for the game, that's going to get them really poised up, right? And so when you get that kind of energy before that, I think if Raleigh gets off to a great start, it's going to go a long way for tonight's game. And to get the first 5 games of the schedule at home, I mean, I don't know if this has ever happened in the history of Raleigh. And also Mountain Home, who, again, we had to go all the way to Arkansas and play a very good Mountain Home team. Now they have to come all the way here. You have to wonder if that lag of traveling is going to get to them. I mean,
and that's a Thursday night game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, especially the first half of the schedule, even with a couple of tough opponents with Festus and Mountain Home, I think it still locks up pretty favorable for Raleigh because they're all in the home games for us to start off the year.
So you look at that. What are you predicting on a record? I was going to say that towards the end, but I want to kind of get on that right now.
I mean, am I crazy to think that 6-3 or maybe even 7-2 is in play? That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah,
Cameron?
I would agree. I was going to say the same thing about 6-3. I know nothing about Lighthouse Senior High.
Same.
It was supposed to be Springfield Central, which I would have chalked up as an easy W, but they obviously canceled their varsity football program this year. So, I mean, hats off to Caballero, able to find a replacement in such short order.
I know they were looking
at
at team
fill that schedule.
Yeah, they had a team they're trying to get out of Kansas City. There's a couple others. Some were not returning calls. They were like, "Oh no, Lighthouse Christian stepped up." Now they struggled last year against Parkview, and in the only common opponent we had last year, and we handled Parkview. So you just never know how it goes. But
I think there's 2 key things, especially for the Bulldogs this year. One, on the offensive side, they're so deep at so many different positions with seniors and juniors and more underclassmen. You really can't figure on, especially offensively, okay, I'm going to eliminate 1 or 2 guys, and I got the whole IFN stymied. So having that depth is going to go a long way, I think, to this year. Also because of injuries, too. You need to have that depth because at some point, somebody's going to at least a minor injury and going to have to take some plays off, and that depth will have that. Also, Coach Heflin, not only is this his 3rd year, but this is where he played high school football at. And it's kind of a trend we're starting to see in these local areas where they're bringing back some of their former football players, and some are having great success with that. And I think Coach Heflin could be in the same boat here for Raleigh.
Yeah. And to me, if you're looking at the schedule,
again live, right?
Well, just give me a second.
Yeah.
But the 2 games that stand out to me the most, I mean, we got a pretty good idea what we're getting into with Festus.
Yeah.
Got a really good idea what we're getting into with Mountain Home, Arkansas. That was a really good football team. But the North County game and the St. Mary's game, I thought the North County game that the Bulldogs played last year was one of their worst performances that they had. I thought we had no business losing that game. Rolla lost 24-20, and that was at home. I know they're going to be itching for revenge on that one. But then on the flip side, St. Mary's, I felt like that was the best game Rolla had played. And St. Mary's had a lot of talent, a lot of athletes, and the Bulldogs did a phenomenal job going down there. And so I'm just hoping they can keep that same mentality against St. Mary's, and then obviously replicate that same against North County.
Yeah, St. Mary's, we watched that one. We were out on a visit and watched that online, and it was just what a way to celebrate the evening. It was incredible, just big play after big play. That was fun.
It was great. It was a great game.
So we highlighted those games. That's the ones you're kind of calling out. We've got a prediction of looking at 7-2 regular season, maybe 6-3. We'll see how that goes.
I think at least 6 wins. I think it's going to be at least 6 wins.
At least 6 wins. Yeah, that to me, that's my lock pick.
I like
right
that.
I
I like
like
that.
Definitely a 6. I think we could be up to even 8. Especially we bring home this victory tonight. I think it's definitely in the cards to do it. I think we have everything to go.
And we've had Pride Night here for like we were talking about this before we went under, like 4 or 5 years. Does it feel like even a different energy this time than it did even last year?
Yeah.
To me, this feels like different in the air, and I think a lot of it is because of the fact we're going to get a chance at Festus again, especially because of how that game ended. Rolla was just starting to get the momentum, and you can tell in sports, especially in football, when the momentum is starting to go to the other team. And Rolla was just starting to get that momentum when the Lightning came in and they called the game, and they never got a chance to finish it. And I don't think they've ever forgotten it.
No, it's one. Andy kind of alluded to that.
Yep.
It did not set well with everybody, so it's definitely something you want to see. And the other one is our Pride Night wasn't on the, it was later in the season.
Yep.
This is the season opener. Our first home game I think was the day game, right?
Yep,
And then we
yep.
had the Friday
Yeah.
Bulldog Friday Night a couple
On Saturday
weeks
morning,
later.
it's kind of different. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of where we're at. You're right. It's been a good turnout today. Just watching the team go by, the fans out there. S&T is going to be here for our celebration. They're going to have a thing at halftime. And I think a little bit of pregame stuff as well. You got one of the Nyman twins hanging out over there.
Well, and here's the deal. I'm only 5'8", so everybody looks tall to me. Everybody looks big, right? But is it just me, or as the players walked by earlier when we first went on air, it seemed like this team's even bigger than they were last year.
Oh, they're big.
We got some big monsters, and that bodes well, obviously, for football. I think it's going to go a long way to obviously helping them last throughout the year as well.
Well, it is funny to watch Easton Smith, and during the Gatorade scrimmage, I was down on the field getting some film and stuff for the kids, and I'm getting from behind watching him run that ball. And I just chuckle because he's just a big kid, and you're looking. He does not look like your traditional quarterback out there. And again, he's a D line.
Yep.
That's where he wants to go play in college, the defensive end, and that's what he's being recruited as. And so Coach Eflin, at least, hey, he understands that. He's getting him time out there, starting him on defense, and let him get some reps in there. I think big things.
I'm really excited to see, especially with his running ability now and adding that body to that speed and that mobility. Can they then force those defenses to put more in the box and then go over the top of the attack and all that as they jam up 7 or 8 more at the line?
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what Tanner wants to see.
Yep.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Yep.
I know for a fact if I would have killed to be 6'4", 245 pounds. But I know for a fact on the defensive side, I wouldn't want to try and tackle him.
Yep.
And I mean, I remember saying this when he was a freshman. He kind of reminded me of like a Josh Allen type stature. And I remember when that kid was born. I was in high school when he was born. His dad was one of our football coaches. Coach Roten had his child at the same time. And seeing him grow up, saw him at church on Sunday, and I told my wife, I was like, that's Easton Smith. She's like, oh, he looks like a grown man.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, the only thing is that mustache he has is just not good. Easton, I know you're going to be watching this. Dude, I tell you all the time, you might want to go ahead and just shave that bad boy for a while. Okay?
Just clean it up.
Yeah.
Just clean it up.
Yeah.
Plus, it makes the rest of us look bad anyway. Yeah, just get rid of it.
And again, he just turned 17 and this summer, so he's a young kid. So Tanner, again, you've watched 4 years. Who's going to be the breakout player for the Bulldogs this year? Who do you expect to be that breakout player?
I know we've talked about it a lot, but I expect Easton to really kind of grab the bull by the horns per se. From my understanding, he like you said, defense is kind of his go-to, right? He's wanted to play defense, but they couldn't really allow it last year, just given our quarterback situation. And if he's able to hit some passes, hit the guys early and often, and like that's what our coaches used to do. The first couple pass plays were just quick hitters, right? And it does so much for your confidence. As soon as you complete that first, second pass, it goes a long way. And then it just flows everywhere else, right? Then all of a sudden the running game's clicking, the offensive game's clicking. But we know what CP can do. We know what Jack Mrazowitz. I'm also, looking forward to Jack Mrazowitz. He's been electric on offense and defense. And I anticipate that he's going to get a lot more offensive possessions this year, given the fact that Delagarza is gone, et cetera. So I think his role is really going to uptick. And I'm going to be interested to see how they play CP. But then, obviously, at the end of the day, the biggest thing is going to be your line, right? You could have the best backfield in the state of Missouri, and if you don't have an offensive line or a defensive line, you're as good as your worst player.
Well, you touched on this earlier, JP, with the strength of Easton Smith and able to pull and run that ball.
Yep.
Hayden Emery able to pound it. at least the D line has to be worried about that to then allow some of the counters and misdirection that I know they've worked on some of that stuff, and we see that enter the game. That'll be a big opportunity.
And that's why, for me, the breakout player to watch might be CP this year. I think he's going to get that opportunity, and he's a stud athlete all the way around. So,
and tight end Cameron Brown.
Yeah.
He's a big fella.
Yeah.
And I saw him run that backside post during the jamboree that they threw it to. And I mean, having that guy is such a big target. I'd love to see him have some early success, and I think it'll go a long ways for the offense.
And Easton likes to look for him, especially on those little seam routes on that stuff, because everything else is occupied. He's 210 pounds. He was like 170, a year and a half ago maybe. And so that's great size. Well, hey, we're rounding out. We got to get ready to get in for the game. Got the broadcast. I got to get on the PA booth. Before we go, I'd like to just kind of pop out a couple things here. Make sure you all understand that 104.9 ESPN, that's where the game will be streamed tonight. We got several other spots that will be on everything, but that's where you can find Tanner, ESPN 104.9. So you can go on there. They have an app. You can stream it if you can't catch it on the radio. You got that on home, so we'll do that.
Yep.
And then for the season ticket on Tuesdays, 5 to 6 p.m. on 104.9, ESPN 104.9. And there's Coach Smith. We were talking about him earlier. His ears are burning. And so you can hear JP on the season ticket every Tuesday, 5 to 6.
Yep, absolutely. And we also have the recorded episodes where you can catch those. And now it's also a podcast.
Podcast, yeah, has on a podcast. So you can go to his Facebook site. That's what this will take you to. And you can find access to all the past events as well.
Yep.
So appreciate that. Also returning sponsor, In Full Bloom. They do senior backdrop rental, balloons, stuff like that, party stuff. Happen to be the proud parents of Jack Morozowitz, and glad to have them back on. And Kobe Juan Skills Academy does a great job. Again, he's been doing Ethan's training for years. I had the pleasure of coaching him. He actually played football back in the day, same time when Andy Statula was there. He's a year younger than him. So Andy used to play some basketball for me too, which is interesting to see him. Because he played basketball the same way he played football with a lot of intensity. So it was a lot of fun. Gentlemen, hey, thanks a lot for joining.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Tom, thanks for having us.
Yeah, beautiful evening. We had a little technical difficulties getting us started, but we survived. And now it's time to go hit the Bulldog. Tip off at 7 p.m.
7 o'clock.
All right.
I think it's time for the 2025 season.
25 days.
Get it going,
man. Let's get it done. So from inside the huddle to the heart of the game, we'll see you next time.